of negativity.
Absolutely,
And
I remember. I don't want to say I
but I mean,
personally kicked the
but I
dog,
guess,
but I
with this,
remember.
the same is true, right? But with positivity, right? I mean, how you see things so differently. If you're in a great frame of mind, if you're happy, I mean, everything changes. It's like, oh, it's wonderful. It's raining, you dance or singing in the rain and all of that, right? I mean, but it changes. I mean, it's like a pair of glasses, right? You have the positive pair of glasses and you have the negative pair of glasses, which one is it gonna be today? Right? I mean, but it clouds everything, what that pair of glasses is on any given day. And I mean, but I think it is fascinating what you were saying about, what happens in companies. And I was also thinking about friendships, right? When you have friendships within an organization where people talk, over coffee about what's going on in their lives, like sharing, okay, over lunch or something. When you have that kind of environment where it's safe to share this, like, as I said, friendships, that come into this. So thank you.
Sabine, you are now in charge of being the positive attitude officer of the organization here, because what an excellent point to bring out that not only those negative vibes are contagious, but if we just think that, we're going to have these stand-up meetings or the clearing meeting that Jack was referring to. You get together in the morning, and a lot of those are called stand-up meetings because they don't want you to sit down and get comfortable. You're just standing up. And if you're, let's have everybody say something positive to start the day. You may be going through a divorce or a bankruptcy or your dog died, but we're here to do a job. We've got the next X amount of hours to be here. Try to think of something positive. And that's a good way to thank you for bringing that up, Sabine, to think that the positive, the friendships and the things, the people that we meet at work are real, actual people, and we can impress upon them in a positive way just as much as we can impress upon them with a bad attitude. But let's go for the positive. Thank you for bringing that
Exactly. You know
up.
what? And I've also feel that, even like little things, what a difference. I mean, this is something, I'm not in the corporate world, I have no clue, but one of the things I think that can make a huge difference is even, the small gestures, like, oh, I'm bringing you, cookies that I baked at home, or, I mean, you're immediately adding, a small thing of positivity. And I think that kind of positivity has children too. You know what I mean? Little things can literally make somebody's day. And I think important to remember too. Aho, I'm done.
Okay, I just want to
I'd
say
love to
something and we'll
add
go to
to that
Olivia.
because I think we can even
Go
just
ahead to Olivia.
have a
I don't
terrible
want to
night's
talk.
sleep. Oh,
All right,
yeah, I
so
think I
let me
love what you're
talk.
saying, Sabine,
I'll
as
say
well.
one
And
thing.
oh,
They don't bring consultants into corporations because everything is going really, really well. They bring us in because either they know they need conflict resolution, they know that people are stuck, they're in a big problem area, and they're not getting there on their own. They're not going to spend the money on us for that. If I'm speaking out of turn, Jack or Tom, tell me, but that's what I'm thinking. And so the kinds of things we're doing here, they're going to need some conflict resolution or extra classes like Joy is suggesting to get out of the slump. Because if they've got ingrained behaviors, it's not going to turn around on its own. If it would have, they wouldn't call us in. They called me in to be a department head because nobody else would take the job in that department. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead,
yeah.
Olivia. Go, please go.
Well, I was just I wanted to say how I love what Sabine and Joy were saying. And that's one of the reasons I think Tom is so passionate about gratitude, because if you just have gratitude for anything or for someone else, it just lifts their spirits. And I would also point out that I think this happens, well, I think I was saying something like, you wake up and you didn't get a good night's sleep, or you had something bad to eat the day before, you might be more easily triggered. So we can always look for those things. And I actually think this is also true in schools, that kids, that aren't doing well. Many times we find out, oh, they're living in a car and not getting fed, or all that kind of thing. So I do think, well, we know organizations are made up of individuals, and if we can understand what's driving individual's behavior, it's usually not related to work. It's usually some personal thing. And so Tom asked a question, David, before you got back on, about if an organization is really having not getting along at all, kind of like you did. Okay, so maybe this is the suggestion, but I was going to say, what would be your first step? It sounds like you took the managers on a retreat. Is that kind of, if you got into it, really toxic culture?
I'll let Jack respond, but I did take all the faculty on a retreat, and I took all of the doctoral students on a T group. They did a sensitivity training, and we explained what it is, and we said, you're not going to get past these conflicts unless we get down to a feeling forgiveness level.
So I don't think a lot of people know what a T group is. Could you just?
Well, Jack will explain it. He knows.
What kind of group are you talking about?
It's called a sensitivity training group. It was big in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
I think Charlie Seashore created it, or his wife or something. Yeah.
Well, if you're asking me to participate, David, I would say in conflict resolution, a lot of times there's one person who has a great need to be right or be heard. And usually there's just one person that's really the culprit. It might not be two so much as it is one. And that culprit needs to be heard. So as a coach, when I go in, I'll go in and spend some time with that person, make sure that they know that I've heard them and that they feel validated. And as they hear me accepting them as they are, that their level of frustration goes down, their level of stress goes down, and they feel heard and they feel accepted. And so then I try to find out what's the source for this person coming in like this. Like picking up on what Olivia said, where is the source of are they sleeping in their car, right, Olivia? Their mother at home doesn't listen to them, or whatever it is. They had a fight with their father, who knows? So I want to really get to know the one person who is more of the culprit, and get them settled down, and then try to work with them one-on-one for a while until we can get some resolution there, and maybe get them back into the team.
Okay, thank you, Duncan, for that off-the-record story that nobody will ever hear except us. So, Tom, go ahead.
Well, this should probably be an off-the-record story as well.
Going back online now. So it's important that I get one story out there that people can actually listen to. So it's really interesting to me when I work with an organization and they're stuck in some way, that I do muscle testing. I don't do it conspicuously, but I'm reading and diagnosing the organization. So I don't do this, but I have a number of techniques where I can it's not noticeable that I'm asking myself, is this an anger issue, a sadness issue? Is this a boss issue? Is it interdepartmental? Because I need to know quickly which way to focus. Now I can do that intellectually. I can do it with my thinking, but if I want to get to that subconscious below the iceberg level of the water, the stuff that's below, I got to tune in. I have to tune into it and be with it. Now, if I have the opportunity, I'm going to interview people. I'm going to go in those different offices, get the what's going on, get a sense of the different dynamics. But I know I can't trust everything I'm hearing either, because these are people will give you the surface thing of the problem and not open up with what's really going on. So usually when I'm in, I want to get down into the real problem, the root problem, as quick as possible, and I want to know kind of the lay of the land with it and what they're sensitive to and how to bring them. What's the best thing to do to bring it out? Now, that's probably going to be a strategy session. It could be turning a new way to approach costs. Like one of the things Grace Ann and I did with the missile range over here, and it's a well-known story, is they were just totally divided between the control cost people and the people who wanted to do good quality services, right? And it was a mix of military, civilians, and contractors. And Grace Ann, who's over here driving, she wrote a nice letter about this conflict, and I remember it, explaining the feelings and thoughts, the two sides, and what needed to happen. Now, I wish the story had a better ending, but I said, well, Allied Signal did this. They did Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. They did Act 1, let's control the costs. They did Act 2, let's start building up again. And Act 3, let's get into balance. Now, instead of working the problem through themselves, they just said, let's do what Allied Signal did. We'll do that. So it's kind of it was kind of not a success story on my part, but Grace Ann, always successful in the way she reads an organization and gets down to what matters and how to bring the different parties together. The other thing that we do a lot is called organizational mirroring, where we put if it's a divided parts situation, divided units, put the units in different rooms, ask them, what do you think the other unit is going to say about you? Put it on flip charts. And usually what they think the other party is going to say is so much more exaggerated than what the other party would say. So it's getting down to that level of communication. So I'll turn it back over to you, and you won't hear a car noise anymore.
I'd love to share a story. Thank you, David. I didn't hear any car noise to begin with, but you reminded me when I worked for a credit card bank, they actually took the head of marketing and made him the risk manager so that it respected, the fact that you've got to balance it. I do have a fun story that dealt with an individual. I was in a group leadership training, and so we were each given opportunities to lead designs to take the group to the next level. And this one guy had been sent there by a university because he was just so angry and mean, but he was really smart. He was going through a divorce, and so his board sent him to this training to have some sort of breakthrough. And it was it was 5 days, and the fourth night we stayed up really late because your defenses break down. And my design came up at like 11 o'clock at night, and it didn't have anything to do with kinesiology, but I don't even think I'd learned this a long time ago, but I had everybody pick a stuffed animal and then talk to it. And this guy, it's late, he's tired, and he starts talking to this animal. He just starts sobbing and talking about when he was 9, his mother died, and he had never processed any of that grief. And after that, he lightened up, he was happier. It saved his marriage and his job. So it was a really great example of how we carry things, and he didn't even know he hadn't processed it.
Beautiful story. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you
Good one.
very much. So what do you think? I want to go back to Jack's point that we want to keep things on a very positive bearing, and we want to accept I really like that idea of accepting our sadness about something if we've had a failed product or a failed strategy. And what we've tried to do with the consulting we do is try to get people on board to identifying the performance quality, cost, revenue problems, and finding out if that's has to do with the work organization, the training is being put in the wrong place, the communication coordination is off, they don't have the right strategy approach, that sort of thing. And then getting back to the executives and the CEO and saying, okay, you're losing X amount of money because your behaviors and the way people are processing things is bogged down. and if you do A, B, and C, you'll save this amount of money. So I go in at that level, not at the, I'm going to do coaching on your feelings and your anger or anything like that. I got to get in the door, and I have to make the value proposition one around cost and revenues and getting people in a direction of understanding the business they're in. After I'm in that level, then it's coaching or consulting the executives that we're going to be unleashing some stuff and some levels of participation that could make you uncomfortable, and have to be there with them and getting the pot of people working to introduce all those ideas they've been sitting on for 10 years, 5 years, 2 years. And as we're interested in millennials, I don't know if you know this, Duncan, we're interested in the millennial turnover. The 50% of the workforces now are millennials, and the high turnover rate is costing your Fortune 100 companies, $25 million to $50 million as an industry to keep those millennials. And they don't find meaning, they don't find participation, they don't find that they're able to bring the millennials in who care about things like the environment. They're usually pretty good at AI and technology. They want to have a colleagueship at work. So you put them in this hierarchical thing and they flatten out. So I don't know if that helps you, but I didn't want you guys to walk away and say, let's talk about feelings today. No, we're not doing that. I just wanted you to understand, how do we assess our own feelings? How can we behind the scenes or go to a bathroom or something and say, what the hell's going on? What am I feeling here? Am I feeling sadness? Am I feeling anger? Am I picking up their stuff? Is it my stuff? And I need to get that calibrated and metered very quickly. You know what I'm saying? And if
David, I wouldn't be surprised.
Go ahead, please.
People never were asked how they feel. Sorry.
Oh, they're not, Olivia. I have an example of that. And this was very early in my career, but I was a manager, and I wrote a very large email that I put a lot of thought into. And when I took it to the director of marketing, and it was to make a change for the better. And I realize now that I started every paragraph. In every paragraph, there was something about I feel. And he tossed it across the desk and said, well, this is pretty good, but it's not businesslike. Take out every instance of I feel. So I might have said, I feel like it would work better if we did this. And I feel like this group is not doing, and I had feel in, and I learned that lesson very early. A business document is not written as I feel. And we're saying that feelings are so important for employees to feel valued in the company. So there's got to be a balance of that.
I wonder if you could do a global change of the word think, and then he would have loved it. And it's kind of sad, but
I rewrote the whole thing, but he also said make it smaller, just concise it. And I think that was probably good advice. I took a report into the same company, but this was the president, and he tossed it back to me and said it needed more white space. And I had tried to cram everything on the page because I thought executives like to just see everything. Well, they wouldn't mind seeing 5 sheets with just one little graph, and the next sheet, one other graph, to get their point. But I was trying to cram it all on there. He said, nope, needs more white space. He wouldn't even look at it. I had to redo it.
Well, it's been a really fascinating session. I'm going to give the close, and you all can stay, and I got to help Grace Ann get to the dentist, so probably should edit.
I'm going to jump off too, David. This has been great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You've been really let your honest, true self out. We didn't get to talk about the relation of higher self and true self and the rest of it, but I just wanted to introduce my mentor, Lou Pondy, and the work he did in conflict. And he's like in my mind, he's the best system theorist that's walked the earth so far. Maybe William White, is pretty good. But I want to say this is in ThinkMent. It's also what we do in perview.org, or you can go to thinkment.com. And if you want to get involved, let us know. And we appreciate you. So thank you very much.